Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this video, we're going to be talking about blade baits, one of the best wintertime baits there is. It's actually a category of baits that I think is highly overlooked and underrated. And it's one that when I moved here to Tennessee, I really had to learn more about, because previous to that, I had never really fished a blade bait like a silver buddy or any of the ones that are on the market today. And I quickly learned that a lot of people here on Lake Chickamauga and area lakes love this bait, and I quickly learned why. So we're kind of redoing the intro here, because when I was out fishing, obviously today it's a nice day, we're out in a t-shirt, but the day we went fishing with the blade bait, super cold, water temps in the low 40s. It's actually 40 degrees when I got on the water. So we're just having to redo the intro and also the outro, because as happens sometimes on the water, had a little technical difficulty apparently that I didn't know about until we put the SD card in the computer. But anyways, let's stop talking about it. Let's get to the water and learn more how to fish blade baits and what tackle to use.
Here's a fish. Oh, that's a nice bass too. Goodness. Oh, that's a nice one. Golly. I thought he was a catfish for sure. Oh my gosh. This is like a 5-pounder on the blade bait, on the Volt. Wild. Wild, wild, wild. Oh yeah, that's like 5.5. It might be 6 pounds. If I can get him in the boat, he's barely hooked. He got one little tiny hook in his snoot. Right in that snoot. Come on. Come on, baby. It's too cold for you to be fighting like that. Come on, man. All right. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. You know you don't want to do that. Oh, yeah. Maybe not 6, but definitely in the 5. Look at that. Look at that blade bait. Stuck right in his nose. What a good fish, man. That is so much fun. Look how red the inside of this fish's mouth is. Gosh, he was barely hooked. Look at that. Look at that fish. Look how red he is. It is cold. Water temp, 40.47 degrees. Catching them on a blade bait. That is so cool. Incredible. All right. Beautiful fish. Let's put her back. All right. There we go. All right. Good job. All right. On the blade bait. So I was just slowly hopping this sucker along. This is the 1/2 ounce version. I was actually a little bit apprehensive. I thought maybe it was a little bit too heavy for, you know, fishing on top of these ledges. I probably should have a couple rods rigged up, one with a light one with a little bit heavier, but obviously it worked. Obviously it worked. So there we go. Let's keep fishing. Let's see what we can get with this thing. All right, so really the technique with blade bait, and this was something that actually surprised me when I first, started learning about this bait, is it's not a bait that you cast out there and reel back generally. You can fish it just like a lipless crankbait, because it kind of has a similar, wobble to it, and it can be worked that way. But the most effective technique that I've found, and what everybody pretty much does with this, is more of fishing it like a jig on the bottom. it's more of a yo-yo technique than anything. It's not, you know, it's not even really that much of a reaction bite. That's what's amazing about it, is the fact that this heavy piece of metal, this little hunk of steel here and lead, it falls like a rock. It doesn't seem like it's natural, but I think the beauty in it is that it hangs tight to that bottom where those fish are really hanging when the water is really cold. So I'll show you the technique here. So essentially, you're just going to cast it out, whether you see fish on the graph or it's a good piece of structure. You're just going to let it hit the bottom, and all you're going to do is just lift it up just a little bit. I mean, right now I'm kind of in a little bit shallower, so I got to kind of lift the rod tip a little bit more. But I'm keeping the rod tip high. Once I hit that ledge, I'm essentially just lifting it up just enough to where it's vibrating, you know, just a little bit. And if it gets fouled like it is right now, it's probably a leaf on it, just rip it up and let it hit the bottom. But it's just short little hops, okay? Let it fall back down to the bottom. Short hop, fall back down. That's essentially all it is. And just like right now, it does snag on itself quite a bit, which is one of the things about it. But I'll do that again. In fact, let me pull the camera a little bit closer so you can kind of get an idea for the rod tip motion. That's the most important. So we'll cast it out there. We'll go a little bit deeper this time. And all we're going to do is pull our rod tip up just a little bit, just so it's hopping like a foot. And you'll feel that vibration. If you're not feeling the vibration, you probably got it fouled a little bit. But I like to feel for like 3 little wiggles, or 3 or 4 little wiggles. So brrr, that sort of deal, and then just let it fall back down. Just short hops. It's very interesting, you know, because you'd think that this is even too much action for this time of year, but they love it. You know, it imitates a shad or a bait fish that's distressed pretty good, even though I've never seen a shad that was distressed fall to the bottom like a freaking rock. But it still catches them, man. It's a really simple technique, and it's kind of, to me, you know, at least, it was a little counterintuitive. But once I got the feel for it, you know, I have a lot of confidence in it. It's a fish catcher for sure. All right, so while I'm changing out the stock hooks on this Damiki Volt, let's talk a little bit about tackle. So this is a technique that I like to keep very simple, because I'm also still learning this technique. I don't use it any other time of the year other than wintertime, but I like to keep it simple as far as the tackle. I've experimented with a lot of different blade baits. This one is my favorite. I just feel like it has the best components. This is the Damiki Volt. And one of the things I like about it, I'm not sure why the style of hook with like the Silver Buddy and stuff like that took off this style, okay? Where you've got like that split it's not even a treble hook, it's just 2 hooks. I'm not sure. I mean, it's nice that you can, you know, quickly remove it. It snags less for sure, but I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like this design. I actually like just traditional treble hooks. Yes, you snag more, but the great thing about a blade bait is the fact that it kind of acts as its own plug knocker, because it's got a lot of weight to it, so you can usually get it unstuck. Anyways, the Volt is the one that I like, but there's a ton of them on the market. They all pretty much will catch fish, and they're all going to give you those generally 3 different options for where you put the clip. I usually just stick with the middle. That is the good all around. You know, the other 2 are going to give you either more of a wobble or tighter wobble. So the one forward is going to give you the tightest wobble. The one in the middle is you know, just right. It's the, you know, Goldilocks spot, and then the back is going to give you the most, you know, side to side wobble. But the middle for me just always seems to work, and I don't want to overcomplicate things. I think that's one thing that we all tend to do in bass fishing. There's so many different options. There's so many ways to skin a cat, but man, just focus on the simple principles, and then go from there. So another key thing, we talked about the hooks on this bait. This is one of the reasons why I like the Volt, is it gives you split rings, traditional treble hooks. Change those treble hooks out. On the Volt, it comes with great treble hooks to begin with, but they quickly will dull. And this time of year, even though they come with premium treble hooks, I always change them out with the Hayabusa TVL 930s, okay, with the NRB coating. This is not a gimmick. The NRB coating's kind of like Teflon. It's kind of like a Teflon material. It just reduces the amount of friction on the hook set. And this time of year, when the fish are sluggish, they're not going to choke it down very well, and their mouths are also harder, you know, to penetrate than usual. You know, when it's warmer. That's one thing I've found. So I use those hooks. They just I feel like my landing percentage goes way up. But anyways, so that's the bait. You can vary between the different sizes. This is the 1/2 ounce, good all around size for deep and shallow. I like to use a 7.3 medium heavy Versa Series rod for this technique. That's kind of the gold standard for me for a lot of my reaction bait fishing. This is kind of almost like a bottom bouncing technique, but it does have treble hooks, so I like the fact that the Versa is just a little bit softer than, say, like an all-purpose series or something like that. I use a 7.2-to-1 gear ratio reel, and as far as the line, I like to use slightly heavier line. I like to utilize the diameter of line to manipulate the fall, the rate of fall. So when it's cold like this, I want a heavier line, so that will help the bait slow down on the fall, because this thing just falls like a rock. So no 10-pound test. It's like 17-pound fluorocarbon. Usually use Red Label from Seagar. But anyways, that is the tackle. Main key here, definitely keep your treble hooks sharp and swap them out for premium treble hooks. That is going to pay the biggest dividends.
All right, guys, so we lost some other footage of that day of blade bait fishing. We caught, I think, just a couple more fish. They were pretty small anyways. In fact, the original outro to the video, I ended up catching a fish that was like, I don't know, 8 inches long, and that was how I closed out the video. So this doesn't bother me at all to just go ahead and do a redo anyways. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're interested in any of the products that we talked about, obviously we've got the links in the description. That's a great way to support the channel, is by using those links if you're going to purchase the products anyways. But anyways, thank you so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments or topics that you want me to cover in future videos, drop a comment below. I'm going to see you out on the water. Make sure you trust the process.